Hello, my name is Frodo and I go by the name Novarias. Today I'd like to show you the level that I've created in Unreal. The primary focus on this will be level design with a minor emphasis on level art. There is no other gameplay than that. I'm using the third-person character provided by Unreal, and I'll be talking a little bit about the encounters as well as we go through the level. The envisioned encounters. There aren't any enemies, as I said, no gameplay other than the third-person character that is provided by Unreal. So, as you enter here, I will put some enemies in this little beach area, and then some enemies that come out of this gate as you approach. Some fast enemies in combination with some slow enemies. That's how I would imagine this working. Then, as you enter on the right, this little barricade section, I would put some more difficult enemies that deter the player a little bit. Some might see it as a challenge and immediately go for it, but others might want to explore further first, and if you do, you'll find the first bonfire over here. Now, I say the first bonfire, but it's actually the only bonfire. Over there's a door which is locked and another one locked over there. You could go back and try to fight those soldiers or whoever might be defending those barricades, but you could also just go on ahead. This will loop back around on the right here, and then there's a path on the left as well, with a little staircase that goes into that door, which is locked, I will say that. We will go down this path later on. For now, let's go up these steps. And this is where I would put the final boss, the throne room kind of area, but of course behind a portcullis, so you will need to find a way to open this. Now, if we go and take this path, you will see that it indeed loops around, as I mentioned before. You go up here. On the left, there's another locked door. I'd put some loot over there and a couple of enemies. Then on the right about here, you should encounter, or I imagine you encounter a archer boss that is up on the ramparts there, shooting down at you while you have to fight your way over. And you can take cover behind these pillars and behind these crenellations, but I would imagine that it's still difficult as you constantly get pelted by giant bolts. Run, we go down here, and right about here, if you reach this point, I would say the boss stops shooting at you. Then you open the door and you find the opposite door, which we'll go through later, to be locked. Now we can go up or down. Down simply goes to another level. You can go through that door as well. These aren't furnished, no furniture here yet, but the doors and lighting are in. And as you can see, this loops back, so you don't have to go through all that wall section again. You can just go through here, and then as we go back up, this is where we were earlier. We go up the stairs now. We can go and fight the boss that supposedly would be here. Now, as we approach and we defeat this boss, I would give him some sort of teleportation abilities that might be fun, and you have to fight him here, then he teleports to the other side, fight him there, then he might teleport on to the higher ramparts, shoot down at you a little bit, dodge those, and then eventually you whittle him down. And then you can hit this bucket, which is a placeholder for a bell. And when I do, as you can see, the gate opens up, but it also closes down a little section over there where I'd put some loot. We'll go there later. Of course, in a Dark Souls game, you cannot jump. We, on the other hand, in this mode, can jump And yes, I am aware that in Elden Ring you can jump. That is true. But for now, we'll focus back on the game here. You go up here, and you can put an interesting fight here as well. Perhaps there's a way to place some traps down or something like that, and if you do, then when the boss teleports up here, they like the traps activate and you actually deal damage to him, and that phase doesn't happen, he just like teleports back. That might be fun. Not sure how that will work out, but it's a potential. It's like a small little thing that I do think might work. So let's just jump on down, take the shortcut actually. This is about all you can do on this initial section of the game. Then you can just head straight for the last boss and skip quite a lot of content, but I think that's okay. This is the throne room. We'll have a brief look around. And if you defeat this boss, then this door opens up and leads out of the level. This is where I put a connector that goes underground and goes back to that initial door that you saw at the bonfire. So imagine that we did not go right and instead we went left. This is where I would place a little mini boss. As you come around the bushes and the thicket, you suddenly see a huge figure emerge from there. Once you kill it, it doesn't come back. I think that might be very cool. Then some loot in places over here, that might be nice. But once you do, you go up these steps, up we go, until we come to this first door, and this would be the second path you can take. So initially there are a couple there are a lot of doors here. I might remove some of them, but for now it gets the point across. You can come back here, and this is where we were earlier. If you remember, we came out from the other door on the other end, but that's how you open that. Then we can go down the stairs and open this door up, which leads to these steps, and that door was locked before on the other side, and that is our bonfire over there. So a nice way for it to loop back around. And what this allows you to do is go up here and open this door, and when you do, you will see that we are once again at the boss encounter, but this time on this ledge overlooking the throne room. What you can do, what I would do personally, is go over here and jump down this boss. For now, I've only removed like one section of these balustrades over here, kind of to emphasize the point that you can jump down on the boss somehow. But I imagine that it would have a lot of broken sections, so you're not forced to go here. This door is locked, and perhaps looking out on the ledge there, there is another boss that I envision, a lady of the night, as it were, looking down at her king. I think that is visually striking. So with that, let's go back here. That is another way to deal with that boss fight. And again, you can, if you went this way, you would have skipped the archer boss potentially, which isn't a bad thing in my opinion. It's cool to have options given to the player, I think, especially in a game like this. So the tower, I didn't go all the way up, but basically there's a little room there. I'd put a tough enemy. That might be fun. Little overview of the forest beach down there, and you come up to these rooms. You can open these gates. This just leads around. I'll take a brief look. for now. Let's just cut through. These rooms are a little furnished, but not a lot. You can go all the way through and reach this gate, open up, and here we go. So this is the portcullis that we raised earlier, so we can no longer go through here. I put some loot there that I think is cool, and then this slopes back around. We were there just a minute ago. All right, now for this next section, before we go up, I think it might be best we go down here and open this door, which is another shortcut. It leads back. If you remember, the bonfire is just around that corner, and we at the very start came up those steps and started going the other way. So this, I would say, is another cool shortcut where you now have a link to the bonfire. It's a little longer than the others, but it's still a shortcut, I'd say. Of course, all of this isn't tested with gameplay. It is simply, done. I want to say randomly, not quite, but it is with a gameplay in mind. But of course, without the gameplay, so certain decisions couldn't be made. I'll get back to that in a second. For now, this room is where the Lady of the Night was that I mentioned earlier. I would make her some sort of vampire cultist-esque lady that if you defeat it, perhaps enrages the boss. If you haven't defeated the king yet, you defeat her, bonfire spawns here, and then this door opens up. And again, it's another path that allows you to fight this main boss, which is the third path, so the portcullis, then that door over there, and then this one over here. And if you do defeat this this potential boss, then you could take this the shortcut, because the bonfire would spawn where the boss died, which is cool. Obviously, or rather, I want to say, you should be able to destroy all this wood by rolling through it, like all these wooden furniture. Of course, that's not possible right now. So we can also go up, and this is the last bit of this walkthrough for the final boss, and this is a cool idea, I think. So where we are now, a mist wall would spawn here, and a mist wall would spawn here on this like wood right here. So you cannot go back here. However, I would say you can go down here, and you can also go down here if you want to die. If you do end up jumping down on these rafter bits, and you find a way to jump down even further, you would end up fighting two bosses at the same time. I would make that boss come down, follow you. It might be a little bit of a nightmare to program, but what you could do is put some achievements in the game where if you do make it down here, I'm actually not sure if this chandelier has collision. Let's try. Oh, it does not like it. The game does not like it. Yeah, that's something that can be fixed. However, the idea definitely exists where you bring both bosses down into this room, and then you can fight them both at the same time, perhaps for an achievement. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.